Hey guys, Leonardo here with another insane prediction of mine. Here's what we got. Amazon to drop $120 by next Friday, July the 27th. Current price, and today is, as I'm recording this, it's about 1 p.m. on July the 20th, 2018. And current price has been ranging today anywhere from around 1822 to about 1835. I'm going to show you three charts why I think this move is actually going to materialize. So chart number one, as you know, I trade a lot of weekly options on a lot of stocks that are highly volatile. Amazon would definitely be one of them. I'll show you the last 5 days. What I see here is a potential head and shoulders, right? And a lot of subscribers got the alert right here to short it when it was trading around 1827, so it did drop all the way to 1791 as this chart shows. Now the next morning it actually rebounded significantly and actually went up $50. So here I actually put another alert. Take a look right here. Okay, so here are the alerts that actually went out on Wednesday. Well, it looks like on the picture they started out on Tuesday, which was 3 days ago, right? So a couple of alerts were sent out. Netflix 370 puts, current price 380, target price 360. If you look, today's Friday, actually Netflix, the low of the day was $360. So that was materialized 100% at about close to 300% gain, depending on when you were closing the position. Granger, right here, GWW 325 calls. That alert went out on a Wednesday, and Granger did hit a target price of 345 actually yesterday. So those 6.5 purchases of calls would have been sold for $20. So that's over 300% gain there. Now this is the alert that I'm actually talking about when Amazon went to 1758. This alert was sent out, and you can look at the chart. At that time, Amazon was trading at 1756. It actually was doing like a spike higher in the morning. And so the alert went out to buy 1750 puts at $10. Okay, those, of course, after that, Amazon actually yesterday was trading at 1711. Those puts were worth $40+. So that's a 400% gain. Also at the same time, in the same message, we send out a Netflix 370 puts at 2.4, and again Netflix did hit $360 today, so those were worth $10. So that's 4 times the money, 400% gain there. Again, another alert went out to short Amazon. That was on Wednesday at 1820 level. At 3.8, and so those were also highly profitable when Amazon fell yesterday to 1811. So all of these were highly profitable trades, but the best one in my view was this one right here, because it was high probability. It was hitting all-time high. I was literally within a couple of dollars, like $1.50 away when I sent that out. So this was a beautiful trade. I love trades like that. So back to the reason why Amazon is going to drop some more. Oh, and by the way, here's a message. I get asked sometimes, well, what's up with these VIP alerts? And if you subscribe to just long-term alerts, number one, you're not going to be getting as many daily alerts. You may be getting maybe 1, 2, 3 alerts per week if you're a long-term option subscriber. If you're a day trader, we don't just automatically allow people to subscribe for that. You actually have to take our chart course. There's some prerequisites that you basically have to go through in order to be able to qualify. It also involves some day-to-day interaction with a senior trader to kind of give you an overview, a plan of what's going to be taken in the market every day, before the market opens, and specifically what are some of the strategies we're considering. So you're fully aware when you're getting these alerts, you actually on top of things, and you're not wondering, should I take this trade, should I not? You just purely focus on execution. So hopefully it answers some of your questions. So if you're a long-term subscriber and you're looking at your screen, your alerts may not look like this, because you're only getting maybe 2, 3 per week. Okay, so get back to the video right here. Here's what we got. Just as it was approaching 1858, I sent out the alert to short this monster again. When it was trading at around 1856, so almost nailed this stop right here within a few bucks. Now, to me, this is sort of a short-term pattern that resembles head and shoulders. it tells me that if I was to apply my observations for Netflix, which the observation I had in some of my previous videos, Netflix started to sell roughly 3 days before it actually announced earnings. So if the same pattern is going to take place in Amazon, then I'm expecting Amazon to drop Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sell-off in Amazon shares actually going into the Thursday earnings announcement. Now, a very important thing that I will actually be observing here over the next few hours, it is crucial to me where Amazon is actually going to close today. If it closes in the range under $1,810 a share, or somewhere between $1,800 to $1,810, that would be an indication to me that there's actually some investors that are already anxious, so they're not even willing to wait going into the next week's announcement in earnings. They're not even willing to take chances on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday action. They would rather take their chips off the table right now. So if we're to take a closer look, all right, here's Amazon daily chart, and there's a number of things that that I would like to observe here, but some of the things that, hopefully if you watch some of my videos that I talk about, I've discovered this black candle phenomena. And so every time I see a black candle on a chart, it actually is an indication to me that as the stock is going higher, as you can see clearly, let's go back to this 5-day chart, right? So what happens? The stock actually, Amazon was at 1811, and this morning rallied all the way to 1835. By the way, here went another alert to buy some of these puts at 1812.5 range for only 70 cents, and they've tripled in value since then. But here's the observation I wanted to point out, right, was the fact that it was actually going higher today, which probably got a lot of people confused. Again, just as many people got confused after this was a clear sign that some investors are getting impatient with the upcoming earnings report, right? We had this huge reversal the following day on the way higher. So as the stock is moving higher, when I see this black candle right here in stock charts, it tells me that the banks are actually selling the stock. I promise you, you ain't going to hear nobody else talking about no black candles. Okay, you're only probably going to hear this on my channel, or if you've taken my chart scores, I actually go in extensively into multiple examples of how these things actually work. Now, to me, if you observe this situation right here, this is a very bearish formation right here at the top. As you can see, this red candle, hopefully you can see it. Let me see if I can actually make it maybe a little bit bigger, okay? Hopefully this is better. So at around 1850, right above 1850, which would be represented by the smaller time frame right here, as I drew this head part of the head and shoulder pattern, in my view, right? So if you analyze the chart of Netflix, any other situation, okay, look, and the color of the candle sometimes may be different. I'll point out the importance of the black candle in just a second. But look, here we had a white candle with a bearish financial. I call it the failed rocket, right? There's a huge tail that's sticking out. It's sort of like a rocket that's being launched, ready to head to the moon, but then it comes back down to Earth, okay? And typically, if you observe the Amazon chart, what you will see is it is typically followed by a consecutive either 1 day or 3 days lower. In this case, here's your failed rocket launch candle. It's followed by 3 consecutive days lower. Here's a similar candle that we have just had at a price range of 1858. So that's when I send out the alert, thinking it could result into similar action as it was here. So far it's doing okay. It's not quite fallen as much, but in definitely a negative direction, as much as the stock price looked quite positive earlier this morning, right? So now let's take a look closer at this black candle formation here. So again, in my view, it's formed when the stock is going higher and the investors, the financial institutions, the high rollers, the big players are actually liquidating their position. So if we're to take historically a look, see you have, this is a huge black candle, right? Similar construction of the candle, right? There is your tail that comes back down. Look what happens. You have a pretty serious day lower the following day. If you were to take a look at this red candle, right, similar formation, couple of consecutive days lower. If you were to take a look at this candle right here, you're guaranteed 2 days lower in the price action. Take a look at this tiny little candle right here, 1, 2, 3 days consecutively lower. You're going to say, okay, well, what's up with this black candle right here? Well, 1, 2 days, 2 days consecutively lower. Now, this one is sort of in question because it doesn't have that tail sticking out, right? So be careful with some of these guys right here. Look, this one is not a black candle, but it's got the right formation. It's a bearish type candle, right, with the tail sticking out. Failed rocket launch, comes back to earth. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive days lower. So by looking at this chart, without really looking at a ton of other things, which to me it seems like this MACD is actually going to make a bearish crossover. I know it may not look like it right now, but if the sell-off continues in the next few hours, and if the sell-off really does begin on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before Amazon actually heads into earnings, then I wouldn't be surprised if we had a bearish crossover here on the MACD. Now, interestingly today, right, you would expect all the technology stocks going significantly higher after the Microsoft earnings report, but they're not. And an important thing to me is look at this volume. So you have much higher volume last 2 days when the stock is actually moving lower, and today when it tries to go higher, look at the volume right here. This volume is hugely insignificant. I shouldn't have said that. It's tiny little volume. Like there's like no volume today, right? And so while at the same time the accumulation distribution is almost all-time high, but clearly starting is just beginning that reversal, that bearish reversal. So to me, some of those small things are really pointing out to the fact that you know, they probably are going to be selling Amazon stock before it goes into the earnings report. So in my view, it could easily maybe sell off by the time it goes into the earnings report, maybe to this range right here of 1750. Let's say it doesn't do that. Let's say it goes to 1770, 1780. So we're going to be about $40 already into that, you know, $120 move that I'm predicting. And so after that, all Amazon would have to do is literally just drop maybe another 80 bucks. Which with the earnings report, that's not even a high number at all. We've seen Amazon sometimes on earnings go up 150 bucks and so on. Well, in this case, I'm saying it's actually could go much lower. And interestingly, also to point out, it does not necessarily mean that all of a sudden after earnings it's going to drop automatically. I'm not necessarily ruling out the fact that initially after the earnings report, Amazon could actually be going higher and then really beginning to sell off. So be careful. Don't try to place any option strategies. By the way, option strategies are going to be crazy. These options are going to be super high next week. So be very careful. As you know, if you watch some of my videos, I do not buy options ahead of earnings. And I know sometimes it looks like a very lucrative way to make money. However, you just have too many things going against you, and because of the very fact that you're paying too much for the options, it automatically puts you at a disadvantage unless there is quite a substantial move that takes place. In other words, say if everybody calculates Amazon price to go higher or lower by 7%, but actually goes down or up by 14%, those are the type of situations that would be highly profitable, but they're rare. And a lot of times the stock could actually not move at all. So you have to consider all these possibilities when you're buying options ahead of earnings. You're going to end up paying too much. There's, you know, the probability of the move or the magnitude of the move that you really need to produce huge gains with that strategy typically is just not in your favor. So let's take a look at some other stuff here, because overall a lot of you are going to look at this chart and be like, dude, forget about these black candles. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Look, all I see is a clear uptrend and everything looks wonderful and, you know, everything is great. Well, in my personal view, this is a great time to short this thing. Okay, this is a great time to actually pull the trigger, because I am seeing this is sort of the beginning. This is the very first few steps of a reversal. You know, everybody would agree, I guess, that it's a great company, that you know, it's been everybody's favorite. However, as you know, even good stocks fall as well. Good stocks fall too. So this is the one example of it, and we'll see exactly what happens next week. But let's talk about Nasdaq, right? Nasdaq, you know, this is sort of the third time it's trying to make all-time high. It just traded at all-time high ever. However, the action today in Nasdaq, it's obnoxious. Okay, on great earnings from Microsoft, this thing should have been flying like a kite, like a rocket. I don't know. This thing should have been going way higher. And surprise, surprise, talking about the black candles, right? What do you see, guys? It's not just Amazon that's creating this black candle, right? So it's sort of the index itself is creating this black candle. So in my view, you know, I'm observing these two things. I'm observing the same candle on both charts. And it tells me, look, as wonderful as things seem to be, what I am noticing is Nasdaq should have moved much higher today. It has failed to do so. It's struggling. There's not a huge number of sellers that are coming in yet in the tech sector, right? Everybody seems to be buying all the dips right now. But what I'm sensing is this could turn around at any point. And I think next week that could be the ultimate point where we're going to see some big names actually sell off. So again, we're observing the same very, very low volume as Nasdaq just tries to maintain a level. It's not even trying to really go higher on great news from Microsoft, which it should. That would be a good reason for Nasdaq to go high. But you know, it's really struggling. And as you can see, last time it had a similar candle like this right here. You know what happened, right? Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive days lower. All right. So as complacent as the market has been, these are exactly the times that I want to take advantage of, and I want to buy the put options because they're cheap. Okay. Now, not so with Amazon, right? Because all the stocks that are announcing earnings, you're gonna have to pay significant premiums to get them before the earnings. But trying to understand what move and how the stocks are going to react when Amazon price is going to open on Friday could create some really, really great opportunities. So again, I'm observing some very similar things in the Nasdaq. As I'm seeing on the chart of Amazon, and I'm observing some divergences here. For example, your relative strength index is actually going lower compared to its previous high right here, even though right here you had it at 7,800. Now it's moving to 7,840, 7,850 range, but the strength is actually falling. So to me, that's a bearish divergence type situation. The volume is another sign. Again, the fact that the accumulation is at all-time high is actually a good thing because a lot of sellers could come in and start liquidating their positions. So I'm seeing a number of things that are telling me that next week, as everybody is expecting a happy Amazon goes higher, let's rock it to the moon, $2,000, $2,100 a share, I think it may ultimately get there. However, I don't think it's going to do it next week. I think there's going to be some downward price pressure on the shares. I'm thinking that after the sell-off is going to be done in Amazon, then I think the banks are going to come in and they're going to repurchase the shares again. So expect a move maybe closer to 1,700 level. Possibly, there is actually a case where I think shares could drop all the way to $1,620. So, but for now, I'd like to stick with my projection at $120 move lower, which would put us roughly at $1,700. I hope this video was helpful. If you would like to know how to make charts your best friend, I've recorded a really intensive course specifically talking about divergences. In other words, being able to see things before they actually materialize, because this is exactly how some of the biggest fortunes were created in trading financial markets. So if you'd like to learn more, simply click and explore some of the links below. Hey, take advantage of this 20-minute consultation call that you can do right now. Literally, it won't cost you anything to call in, ask any questions, regardless whether you're a complete beginner or you're an experienced trader that's been trading for 30 years. If you're trying to find some great trades with this what looks like almost inactive market environment right now, where things are just not moving. It looks like they're moving a little bit one day, they're falling a little bit, but nothing's really happening, right? So if you're looking to find some good trading ideas, definitely check out some of the links below. Take one of our courses and make this year your best trading year ever. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.